the stuff I'm interested in, right?
Rather than have to after the fact.
Do you have this on me?
On,
I think I,
on,
I got this,
on
sorry.
pump station looking. You know, incorporate that design in,
Yeah.
and that's gonna add to the cost.
Well,
But it's all
if you put it
done.
underground, will be all right.
A lot of them, they put everybody's around it, so.
But I mean, it's gotta be.
But I think there's particularly for South Main, right? Our thought process is probably to make that almost a parklet area, so if possible, so yeah, and I have no perspective. I don't know what a pump station looks like, I've never done one, so. But that's why I say we should be involved, because we have other things going on that maybe not into the actual how the pump station works itself, although of course, when he's talking about pits and stuff, I start thinking safety right about out of the gate, right? How safe is this thing? We don't want kids falling into pits. But, just what we know we've got that we are planning on kind of doing there if we can, we're always relying on grants to do a lot of the stuff that we're working on. But, that's why it's good for us, yeah, to look at this and kind of have a plan. Because when the grants come up, that's how, the grants just don't come out of thin air. We have a vision and then we find the grant to get us where we want to go. So it'd be good to have that conversation.
And I don't want to design this in a silo either. I want to make sure we're getting feedback from you folks and making sure we're taking that into consideration. So, yeah, I agree. I think if a separate meeting to go over that and have everybody there to provide feedback makes sense to me. So,
Can have the decide whether you want to have a building, or whether you just want to have a control panel. You know what I mean? And you could have.
Yeah, so whatever pictures you can send us.
you want a couple examples? Yeah, I know originally the intent, what we designed this around assuming it was going to be a control panel with a standby generator. Obviously you can make it as fancy or as less fancy as you want. So, but I can send a couple
No
photos.
Visual.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know what they look like either.
They are
Sorry,
nicer,
guys.
they are nicer with building, with the generator stays inside and everything, so.
Oh.
It might be, especially like right in the center of a sauna,
A lot better too.
we might be in trouble, Victoria.
The historic
It's not that the residents of the zone are gonna resist a sewer system going in, but it won't be a source of contention for anybody to bring it up as an eyesore.
Right,
If you wanna see an ugly one, we already have one.
We have one.
Chip away over it, it's as ugly as it can be. It's not a pipe, it's not sewer, but it's water, but it'll.
it's the same thing.
Well, it's similar. It's a building with there's a generator outside. There's a building. And
it's
there's a
pretty ugly.
fence, there's a ugly fence around.
Oh,
But,
we don't want
you know,
that.
we can't have that
But then-
in
No,
the
we
center
don't
of
want
town.
that.
If you take it into effect too, is the one that you're gonna put on Alexander.
Yeah,
If you put the generator inside the building, it's a lot quieter than having the generator outside.
in my intent would be whatever we do and when we do on the other, right? So, but that is a big consideration. The last thing we need is more noise over there.
There may be space constraints. The Alexander Drive is.
Much
will have
bigger.
Much more space available for something and much simpler build, even at the constraint. There's also question, water table, the one in the center of the town. Is that gonna be an issue for us?
Yeah, we found, yeah, it was pretty shallow from what we found for the
I
board.
mean, Alexander Drive is high and dry.
You're high and dry there, but the one in the center of town,
So I wouldn't say that.
It's-
Everybody's
it's-
pumping water right now out of their basement.
it's much better, I guess, in terms of the groundwater there than it's at Alexander Drive, but I know that we did have a monitoring well that we put in when we did the drilling work over in both those pump stations, so we'll be able to monitor groundwater.
It's pretty high on floor. I mean, the whole basement's full of water all the time.
Yeah,
On that building, so.
I will caution, I mean, we could certainly do a building, like, there's no problem with that. It does add up in terms of price, so that is just one thing to consider. Generally speaking, when you have a building and have a generator inside, they tend to be a little higher in price than doing it otherwise. But again, however you guys want to proceed with it, we can do. And I can give you some examples of both that we've done. So,
I mean, when we're talking $20 million, I think we can probably swing the extra for the building.
yep.
The generators only run once a month,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Unless there's a,
Usually warranty purposes, yeah.
For an hour, it's not, you know, it's not gonna be, you know, it's not gonna be too hot.
Right. Yeah, Yeah, no, we're actually doing one right now in Stoughton. It's a precast building with a generator inside, you know, so. it's-
Send me the picture.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really cool to see it. You know, they fabricate it all off-site, drop it in right on the concrete pad, and, you know, the whole thing is, you know, belt and suspenders all done. You just make the final connections and that's it,
Gas
so.
still goes outside.
Um,
You know,
but yeah,
They run, propane, they run by propane?
that one is, gas, natural
Gas.
gas.
They do run a propane, you get the generator runs on propane.
Yes.
We would have to run it on propane, right? There's no natural gas there. Is there gas on
There's
Alexander?
gas that
Like Alexander?
it goes up, well, it doesn't come up Alexander, but it goes up Bridgman Road.
Okay. All right, because I know it goes down to Freeman's Circle and it ended there. It was the end of the road with gas. So we have gas at one, well, not really, we'd have to run it. Down Alexander, it's at Ridge Hill Road, we have to run it down Alexander, and the other one would have to be propane.
It's not a big deal, you know.
No,
We have them all through the city, some run on Oneida.
you know when it's a problem, when there's been these big storms and you're running the generator, because you don't have power, and then the fuel is running low, but you can't get the fuel to come and be delivered. That's when it's a problem. I'd rather have the gas if possible. So on the one at Alexander, I'd say if we can run the gas, we would run the gas.
And that's why I want to make sure my MEP guy can make the meeting, because he'll be sizing the generators and coordinating with utility companies as far as connections for gas and electric, so I definitely want him to comment on that, yeah.
Okay,
The one on Chipaway, we have two tanks and they're having a sending monitor unit. And when it gets down to a third, they go
Right.
automatically. So
which is fine until, like I said, we don't have power for a week.
you know how much it would take to run it in for 2 weeks.
quite a bit.
Even
Quite a bit of fuel.
Yeah, the other thing to keep in mind too, the one on for South Main Street, I know that is in the floodplain. So just keeping that in mind as far as resiliency and making sure we're designing things to be resilient, especially if it ever floods and, you know, you're not just
So it
getting
might
a
be
wash
up
out of your
in the
equipment.
air.
Well, I think you can, there's a number of different things you can do. I mean, you can make building, if you want a building, you can make it flood tight, the building itself. You know, there's enclosures you can buy that are flood tight enclosures. You know, I think the preference would be to go that route versus raising it with a huge, you know, on stilts or something way up in the air.
So
Um,
we might want Chuck, that center can flood.
mm,
I don't know if you guys have witnessed it. I don't really recall it. Have you witnessed it?
No, I've seen the picture from like the 1950s.
1950s is a lot of water, but even with it not being that extreme, it will flood, and Chuck probably knows. I'll ask him. So I don't think it will flood like that, but it has flooded. And it's flash flooding because it's tidal, right? Like, so it'll come and it will go, but it will come up.
mhm.
Not a lot, but it has recently.
Right, yeah. No, we just had this situation come up in Gloucester for a pump station where we installed a watertight flood door on a small station that was right by the ocean. But same thing, you know, you just want to make sure you're protecting your critical equipment.
Absolutely.
Especially making this investment, the last thing you want is for a big flood to wash it all out, so. So again, I think we can definitely set something up and willing to hear out, you know, feedback from you folks as far as what you're looking for. If the preference is to go buildings, that's fine, I just, like I said, just want to know that up front before we get too far along. So,
Yeah. We can
so-
discuss it, but I think that would be my preference.
Buildings are the best way.
I'd like to know what the difference would be, you know, building versus occupied, or, you know,
Sure.
it's one thing to block off, you can block on Alexander Drive, you can put the equipment at whatever height you need to put it, and you can put sufficient foliage up the block, you can't do that in the center of town.
Mhm.
I mean, it's gonna be fenced, or
Sure.
it's gonna be, that's gotta be maintained. The other thing in the center of town is the electrical equipment, the motor, the electrical equipment, it's all gotta be protected from moisture.
Yep.
You know, because even if it's intermittent, I mean, it'll degrade the life of the working life of the motors and the relays and all that.
Yep.
It just, and that, again, that puts a cost on our department later on down the line.
Mhm.
Mhm,
Because I'm assuming that we have to, at a certain point, adopt this.
mhm.
Well, and all the more reason, I wanna give you guys what is functional for you, right? I don't wanna just design this in a silo, I wanna make sure I'm taking your feedback into consideration and incorporating that into the design, so. You know, I wanna make sure it's functional for you, not just giving you something that works, but that you guys like and what your preferences are, so, yeah, I think, you know, I don't know if we wanna try to set something up maybe in a week or two, I don't know, if afternoons work better for you folks, mornings? I can talk to my MEP guys, but I'm assuming he'll be generally available, so.
Steve is generally,
I think
Steve is
Steve's
generally available.
Like a
Okay.
3:30, like a 3:30, it's probably works.
3:30 would be best during the week, okay. All right, maybe I can throw out a couple dates, I'll check with my guy and make sure he's available
Yeah,
and then.
yeah.
See what works best.
Perfect.
I think we're all
Just when
flexible,
you're
but
thinking
Steve-
about the building, make it big enough. You know, make it so you can walk around and do stuff in it.
Mhm.
That's the
Well,
thing.
I can take some pictures, send it to you.
Most of these buildings have removable
What
roofs,
we have the choice of.
they crane off them.
Perfect.
The precast ones.
They have, you
Yeah.
just crane the whole roof off and we can access anything that needs to be accessed.
Yeah, I mean, the way I've seen it is they can drop the roof on top on the precast units. And then obviously they have the louvers there on the side that you can pull out if you have to take the generator out or what. But yeah, I mean, I personally like the precasts. They're a little more, it's a little more cut and dry, a little more economical. You can get pretty much everything all assembled in place off-site, and then by the time it comes on site, you just drop it on the pad and make the final connections. Just makes it a little bit easier in terms of the actual logistics of pulling it all together. And I can give you an example, you know, send you a couple photographs of one we did recently, where the generator was inside that one as well, so.
Are we gonna have any constraints on where we put that station on the one in the center of town? As far as that piece of property?
I don't know of any right now. I don't know of any constraints. I mean, the lot is this big.
The lot's half the size of this room. Maybe-
Yeah,
Maybe a little bit bigger.
very small square.
So I think we kind of get out there and use our best, and it's hard right now, there's a building sitting there, right, so we can't even really look at anything. But I think we'll just do our best, I don't have any, known constraints, I mean, we're gonna knock the building down, dig out the foundation. And fill it in.
We're exempt from any setback issues, right?
I don't know if this would, a structure, I guess we would have to be, it'd probably go by the lot was created, probably was created before there was zoning. I
I
think
thought because
it,
we were a municipality, we're exempt from. This,
we may be, but we usually try to follow it, I think it's 6 feet.
well, it's just kind of
anyway.
hard, just because it's such a small lot. That's the only reason why I bring it up.
If I were to opt for a location, I would rather opt to have it further away from the road, just in case some reason the truck comes down 79 and loses control, they don't pick up that pump station.
Yeah, and like I
You know,
said,
worst case, I'm not predicting that, but you know, it's easier to say, don't put it where it can get hit. Ideally.
yeah, and like I said, we are looking to do sort of a parklet type of thing in the, maybe in the front of that, depending on how much space that takes up. I don't know yet, like I have no visual perspective, so that's kind of why I want to be involved. You know, because that lot will be, that'll be what it will be, but eventually we'd like the center of town to not look blight.
Well, and I'm sure you wanted to blend in a little better over
Yeah.
there as well too, right, so.
You could do the fence around it, anyhow, with those plastic things on it, so it just looks like.
There's a dumpster behind it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
We
slabs
have-
in there, yeah.
Weaver's house there, they have a house in the back too, so when the generator does run, but I mean, like it says, it's not that big of a deal, it's gonna run for like 20 minutes a week.
yeah,
And
Oh,
and
okay,
it's gonna
that's
be
not
during the day.
it's only if you
Oh.
lose power that it's gonna run,
Mm.
Well,
Long
you have to
time.
exercise it.
yeah.
I think the state makes it mandatory too, that you have to exercise it once a week.
I know for warranty purposes too.
I was gonna say, my mother's does that, just to make sure it's up and running, you know?
If we have an outage and it runs 24/7, the folks in Sono will be grateful. To hear it running.
Yes,
They won't complain, they'll be grateful. to
so
hear it
I'm
running.
thinking the back of the law, just because like I said, in the front, I don't know exactly how that's all gonna come together, but we have a lot of changes that we're projecting for that intersection, and we might wanna put I mean, we'd like to do something in the front portion.
Mhm. And I know the generator at the 4 South Main, that'll be much smaller compared to the big one at Alexandra. Just because the pumps are much smaller comparatively, so.
Oh, good.
um,
It's lots and lots smaller too.
Yes, yeah.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and like I said, we can look to set that up in the next couple weeks if that works for you. I'll confirm with my guy that he's available and we can get on site to go over that.
Perfect, thank you.
As far as Merrill goes, as I mentioned earlier, just looking to get any final data that Chuck may be able to provide, so. And then obviously if we can get something from the state, great, if they get those covers. If not, like I said, we'll just have to qualify that in the base plan survey.
Reach out, I don't have, the lady I used to deal with at Mass DOT retired. And I don't know who Chuck deals with, I'll have to find out, because you just have to rattle them. Do you have somebody that you talk to at Mass DOT?
No, not specifically, but Helen does have her hand raised.
Oh, go ahead, Helen.
So do you want me to bring up a picture of, like I have a picture of Riverside Pump Station Gloucester, the small building, and then they can see how the generator's outside. Do you want me?
Yeah, if you want to share your screen, Helen, that's fine.
Sure. And then if there's any other one you want me to pull up, let me know.
Yeah, I was thinking, Riverside or Niles would be a good one for Gloucester, and then I can show the Stoughton one as well. Yeah, so this one is it was a small station where the generator was outside of the building, but it had those privacy slats, so you couldn't necessarily see inside. It kind of gave like a nice little privacy there. But and again, the siding on these, you can make them any way you want. I mean,
Yeah.
this is just a brick standard siding, but you could do shingle siding, you can make it look, as presentable as you like. I can, let me see if I can find the one.
Is there another one I can look up for you?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna look up the one for Stoughton that we just did, over on, Campanelli.
I couldn't find a picture there.
I don't know if the historical commission will give us any grief. Maybe we'll have to make it like a little replica of what's there.
Replica of the red building.
Little red building,
Tiny red building.
yeah.
That's funny.
One of the consideration when it comes to the electrical, these should be set up that we can plug a portable in.
In addition to the standby.
That
Yep.
is just, so it doesn't have to be, it can just be plugged in.
You need to switch to.
Good idea.
To plug in an additional generator?
So if we have a power outage and we have a propane, for some reason we can't get it, we can find a diesel generator from a contractor. It can
Oh,
work.
okay.
Sure.
Or if for some reason the generator doesn't work,
Or the generator doesn't
you
work.
have something to get you by.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a huge cost to incorporate that into the design and the
Sure.
install. It costs a lot to add it or to
Mhm.
find an electrician to do it at the time in an emergency when it needs to. be.
Right. No, that makes sense. Good foresight.
So let me, I can share my screen here, Helen.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't find the photos in any.
Yeah, I think it was, I think they might be buried elsewhere, but.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the Niles one. So this is another,
Gotta have a sense of. Be great.
Oh, yeah, that depends, you have that balance.
this was one we did in a more, so there was a condo, development right by the ocean. So this was a, stick building, that they kind of assembled in place, cast in place. And then on the back side of here is where we actually had the flood door. But this one they wanted the siding to kind of match the color and the look of what they have already in the condo development. So, in this case, this was a custom build, but I know the precaster usually can give you, different looks and different finishes on the
That's not
exterior.
very big, is it?
This one's pretty small because there's no generator at the site. It's just got the plug-in. But let me show you the one we did in Stoughton, it's a little more industrial than this one, but. Oh, let me see if I can share this guy. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so this one, it's just your traditional brick exterior,
Oh.
building inside. There was this one, it's not a submersible, there's a Coleman Rupp, suction lift pump. Below grade, but in this building, you have your generator, all your controls. INC panels, but basically this is the look. It's a brick exterior, shingle roof, double doors in the front, and then for removal of the generator, you have the louver on the side, exhaust fans, all of that. So this one had a gas connection. But again, this was done by a precaster. So they basically dropped it off on the site, right on the concrete pad. Everything was all indoors as far as controls, generator, and it was all kind of fit. I believe this was like a 13 by 20 building. So
Okay.
just for like rough sizing purposes.
That's really big. I mean, do you think it would be that big in the for South Main?
For South Main, I don't want to speak too prematurely. I mean, these pumps were probably 25 horsepower, whereas the ones at for South Main are what, like 4 horsepower. So the generator would be smaller,
I'm
but
looking at a 75 to 180 kilowatt generator.
I was gonna say, I
I'm
think,
looking at the exhaust, just looking at it.
yeah, I think this generator was pretty large because the pumps were large. Obviously the one at Alexandra Drive would be a different story. That's a much bigger station. But again, you can kind of get the sense of what this looks like. This was all fabricated off-site. All the controls, all the electrical was done off-site. The only thing they had to do was make the final terminations and connections when they brought it in, so.
It has to be heat in that building too, right?
That's correct. Yep, there's a unit heater in there as well.
You got gas, and then you just do the gas.
It's a little bit-
Yeah, and this just kind of shows it from the side. Again, there's a separate wet well, dry pit outside of the building, and then the building inside has all your controls and generator and whatnot. Hopefully that helps. I mean, I can probably fish up a couple more, that look. To give you some different looks, or at least just give you some different concepts of what they can do, but again, we're not married to a look like this. If you guys want something that has a nicer finish, shingle siding, something that's a little more presentable, especially downtown, that can be done.
The brick doesn't look all that bad.
No, I don't think the brick.
I don't think it does, but I don't think it'll go down there.
It-
And it's
Even if you do
Really?
the brick, you still gonna put the fence around it anyhow, so. it's
What,
just
you're
like-
gonna put a fence around it anyway?
Good idea.
Very like, by code you do.
I believe you have that fence around. We have fence around every one of them, we put up some.
Yeah, this one, they hadn't put the fence in, but we had showed a security fence with a gate in the front.
Oh, so regardless of what the building looks like, you'll still have a fence.
That's correct, yeah.
So are we limited by, is the town exempt from ordinance as far as fence heights?
I mean, I thought the municipalities are exempt from.
We're technically exempt from zoning, but
Yeah.
we don't push that, but I don't know, what is our ordinance, 6 feet?
6 feet. Yes, generally 6 feet without being viewed by a fence viewer.
Well, we have a fence viewer, and I think that's Mike McHugh. So if you need a fence viewer, we got one.
But if we're exempt, I mean, we put a high fence and we could.
Just hide it.
But a fence becomes a maintenance item. I mean, obviously, a rusty, the one down chip away the rusty chain link fence and looks even rusty, and now all the brush has been cleaned out from around it.
Well, now we're putting in the vinyl coated fences, so they don't
Yep.
rust like that. We're doing Hathaway Parks, so that it would be,
Vinyl coated steel in 15 to 20 years is gonna be rusty.
yeah.
It doesn't last forever, so, but it's, again, it becomes a maintenance item, because, an eyesore. That's the biggest problem. I mean, I don't think Alexandra Drive is gonna be a problem. I think center of town is gonna present. It's an historical commission.
I think it will. I think we have to make it look nice. I mean, maybe we put a white vinyl fence up so you don't see it and it looks neat. I don't know, you know what I mean? Cause it's not gonna be that big. So maybe you just go, I don't know. We'll discuss it further, but
Sure.
I think definitely they're gonna want something better looking there and more because it's the historical center of town. That being said, we don't want it to be an eyesore up on Alexandra either, because they have enough eyesores, and if I add one to it, I might not be too good.
Understandable.
Do you know where you're gonna monitor this? Is this gonna be monitored in town hall? Who's gonna monitor the stations? I mean, you're gonna. You have a SCADA system and everything?
That'll be the sewer commissioners.
You're gonna have communication, those that, I know the 5G you're putting in for the other buildings and everything is.
I think we had talked about doing like an auto dialer system to call out, it's like cellular for alarms. I don't think there was any discussion about a SCADA system formally for the town, but I think in the absence of not having that, at least an auto dialer, I agree with you, at least to communicate issues.
Our pump station now called a guy. And we have to, if pump. Something happens, he gets a phone call from, right from the station, right? From the
Probably similar, yeah, cellular call out. Yep. Yep. So again, I mean, we can get some brochures if we want to look at different types of siding that they offer, different finishes. I know we've done this for another communities where we want, the look is important on the outside, so I just personally, I like the precast because it's, you know, a little more economical, you can get it all customized the way you want, and, you know, it gets built off site, so the quality control's there, and then you just get it dropped in place, so, you know, it makes that part of the job a little bit easier.
Yeah,
But
does sound
any
good.
kind of siding there, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah, vinyl, you can do like a cedar shake, I mean, really, they can pretty much do anything nowadays with these buildings, so. Again, I just show you a couple examples here of some other ones, but,
I mean, if the fence is gonna be around it and we do block it, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter what the, what the
Yeah.
building's gonna look, you know what I mean? If
Yep.
if we're gonna put a vinyl fence, why would we spend more money to make the building look a certain way if it's gonna be blocked from public view?
I mean, especially
That's just mine.
if you do privacy slats too, it's not like you can see the building, you know, in that case, but, anyway.
Put barnboard siding on it, and then people down historical.
How about we remove the siding that's on the building now, we reuse that?
That'll save some costs, yeah.
Yeah.
Friend of mine had a business and he did that. He bought all a bunch of old barns and sold up teams and boy, he made a ton of money.
Good business. There you
I'm
go.
afraid if we started taking the front of that building off, it would fall over.
Yeah,
I think it will. Okay,
All right, well, more to discuss. Is there anything else you guys want to bring up while we're here, other than just to set our next meeting schedule?
No, that's
I'm
it.
good.
Cool.
All right. Let me just- Calendar.
Get my calendar.
I'll check the police station calendar as well.
Chuck says he doesn't have a DOT contact.
And I mean, I think I might be able to get a DOT contact from Serped, like, or the. Mass
I can
District
get
Five.
it, it's just that, you know, I had an in before, right? So when you
Oh,
need something,
yeah,
call her,
unfortunately.
she would get you what you need, but
Yeah, so,
now I think,
yeah,
hey, we could go right to District 5 and
yeah,
introduce ourselves.
yeah, true.
I'm not afraid.
I'm on vacation the week of the 20th, just to,
Okay. Do you want to shoot for early May for our next monthly meeting, maybe the 8th at the same time,
okay.
if that works for you?
That's.
What day of the week is that?
That's a Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah.
What are you looking for? And what's the date?
The 8th, Wednesday, 3:30 for our next meeting.
May-
The police station is available.
We're not gonna meet, are we meeting here?
Oh, did you want us? I'm sorry.
I was doing the next monthly meeting, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
for the next meeting with on site, I'll talk to my guy and see
Right,
what's available.
okay,
And just throw out a couple dates to see if that works for you guys.
okay.
Probably within the next couple weeks, if that's okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, so it'd be
Before
before
our
the
next
monthly-
one, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, because I'd like to get him out there so that way he can explain firsthand any of the electrical, mechanical type.
I am available.
items.
okay.
I won't be around next week.
Okay, but maybe the following week would be best. Okay, yeah, we'll shoot for that then.
Yeah, next week I'm trying to take a day off, I don't know if that's happening, but.
Well, at least we have the Monday holiday.
Hmm?
So at least we have the Monday holiday.
I'm gonna work.
Oh, why don't you just take the holiday off?
I'll get more work done on the holiday.
Oh,
than I
yeah.
will when
Cause no
The
interruption.
building is full of people.
Okay, so.
All right, so I'll shoot for the week of the 22nd then with my guy, and then we'll schedule our next monthly meeting on the 8th.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty.
Sorry, I was just making notes.
No, that's okay. I think that's all I had, so.
Is the room available? did you
Yeah, the
say?
room is available. I'll book it after.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, does anyone have anything else? No? Okay, I will understand a motion to adjourn. At 4:18.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Helen, for joining us.
Thanks, Helen.
Thank you. Awesome.